I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this. Honestly, I always thought I was pretty good at reading people, at least enough to avoid falling for the typical cheating bullshit. But here I am, staring at my phone, trying to process what I just saw, and everything's crashing down around me. My wife, Emma, and I have been married for 5 years. We met in college, and honestly, I thought we had a good thing. Sure, we had our fights mostly about money or her bitchy attitude, but I never doubted her love for me. That was until last night. It was our anniversary dinner, supposed to be a special night. I had booked us a nice restaurant, made reservations weeks in advance. I even got her a gift she claimed she loved, something I thought she'd appreciate. And she did seem happy, smiling, acting like everything was perfect. But deep down, I felt something was off. She was more aloof than usual, distracted even when she pretended to be into the conversation. I didn't say much during dinner, just tried to keep the mood light, but when I got home, things got weird. As I was unpacking her gift, I noticed her phone kept buzzing. She was glued to it more than usual, and I caught her sneaking a quick glance at the screen when she thought I wasn't looking. That's when I saw it. A text from some guy named Jake, a name I recognized because he's one of my best friends. The message was flirty, suggestive even. Something about "can't wait to see you again" and "last night was so good." My stomach dropped. I looked closer and her responses weren't much better. She was laughing at his jokes, typing emojis I knew weren't innocent, and I started to feel sick. I wanted to confront her, but I figured I'd better dig a little more first. I went through her recent photos and messages, and every single thing I found confirmed that she had been hiding something. Secret dinners, late-night calls, texts I'd never seen before. I even found a photo of them together, Emma, in a hotel room, smiling like she was on top of the world with her hand on Jake's knee. And that's when I realized the worst. She'd been lying to my face all night at dinner, claiming she loved me, that she only wanted me to make our anniversary special. She was smiling, acting like she cared. Meanwhile, behind my back, she was planning her escape with my best friend. How could she do this? How could she look me in the eyes and lie so effortlessly? I felt rage, betrayal, heartbreak all at once. My mind was spinning, trying to process how it all fell apart so fast. I wanted to scream, to yell at her, to shake her and demand answers. But I just stood there, frozen, staring at her phone, trying to understand how she could be so bitchy, so manipulative, so cold. I knew I couldn't keep this inside. I had to confront her. But I also knew that whatever was coming, it was going to change everything forever. I couldn't sleep after I found out. Every time I closed my eyes, her face would flash back at me. Her fake smile at dinner, the way she looked so innocent and loving, while I already knew she was lying behind my back. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she betray me like this, especially on our anniversary? It was supposed to be special. We were supposed to celebrate what we had. But instead, I was left with this sick feeling, knowing she'd been cheating on me with my best friend, Jake. The worst part was I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. For 5 years, I'd trusted her completely. We had plans, a future. I'd never suspected she was capable of this kind of betrayal. And now, every memory I had of us felt like a lie. I kept wondering, how long had this been going on? Was I just blind? How many times had she lied to me before I even realized? I knew I needed to talk to her face to face. I couldn't keep living in this fog of doubt and anger. The next morning, I decided I'd confront her, no matter what. I wanted the truth. I wanted her to look me in the eyes and tell me why she did this. I wanted to see her squirm, to see if she'd even bother to deny it or if she'd just keep spinning her bullshit. I was ready for whatever she threw at me, angry, sad, or mad. I just couldn't keep pretending everything was okay anymore. So I waited until she got home from work. When she finally pulled up, I was already sitting on the couch, my heart pounding so loud I thought she'd hear it. She walked in, the usual bitchy smirk on her face, like she had no idea what was coming. I looked at her and I could see the flicker of something, maybe guilt, maybe surprise, that flickered across her face before she masked it with her usual smirk. "Hey babe," she said, acting like everything was normal. "What's wrong?" I didn't hold back. I pulled out her phone, showed her the messages, the photos, everything I found last night. Her face went pale for a second, then she launched into her usual bullshit. "It's nothing. You're overreacting like always. Jake and I were just friends. You're jealous or possessive or whatever, it's not what you think. I lost my temper. Not what I think. Are you kidding me? I saw the messages, Emma. I saw the photo of you two in that hotel. You've been lying to my face this whole time. How do you even sleep at night? How do you look me in the eyes and say you love me while you're screwing around behind my back? She rolled her eyes and looked at me with that bitchy smirk she always wore when she thought she was in control. Oh, please. You're just being insecure. Jake's a good guy. We're just having some fun. It doesn't mean anything. You're making a big deal out of nothing. That's when I realized she really didn't care. She thought she could just lie her way out of it, brush it off like it was nothing. But I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I told her I'd had enough of her lies, enough of her bullshit. I told her I was done pretending everything was okay, that I wasn't going to be the fool enough to keep loving someone who didn't respect me enough to tell the truth. Her reaction? She got bitchy, of course. Started yelling at me, accusing me of being paranoid, jealous, controlling. She called me insecure, said I was overreacting because she loved me and couldn't help herself. That she was only with Jake for sex, and that he was just a rebound, that she didn't mean to hurt me but she couldn't stand being tied down. I'd never seen her so bitchy, so manipulative until that moment. It was like she thought she owned me, thought she could lie her way out of everything and I'd just accept it. I didn't. I told her I was done, that I needed some time to think. I left her there, standing in the doorway, her face twisting into a nasty sneer. I felt sick, angry, betrayed. I'd always thought we had something real, but now I knew that was just a lie she told herself. She didn't care about me. She cared about herself, about Jake, about whatever thrill they got from sneaking around. And I was just another fool she was using. That night, I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was how she smiled and lied to my face, how she played me like a damn fool, how she thought she was clever, hiding her affair behind my back while I was trying to make our anniversary special. I started planning what I was going to do next. I guess the shock was starting to wear off, replaced by cold, burning rage. I couldn't let her get away with this, not without a fight. The next day, I made up my mind. I wasn't going to let her keep playing her games. I needed a plan, something that would hit her where it hurt. I knew she was the type to lie her way out of everything, so I had to be smart. I started by gathering all the evidence I had, screenshots, photos, her weird messages, everything. I wanted to be prepared because I knew she'd try to deny or spin her way out of it if I confronted her again. I also reached out to Jake, my so-called best friend. I didn't tell him I knew the full extent of everything, just enough to get him to admit he'd been screwing my wife. I wanted him to know I wasn't stupid, that I was onto their little game. When I finally got him on the phone, his voice was nervous, caught off guard. I told him I knew about the affair, about the hotel, about everything. The silence on the other end was deafening. He tried to deny it, but I cut him off, reminding him that I wasn't stupid and that I had proof. That's when he cracked. He admitted everything, how they'd been sneaking around for months, how Emma kept lying to me, how he knew how much I loved her and didn't care. His voice was filled with guilt, but I could tell he didn't regret what he'd done. He just knew I was angry now. I told him I'd be seeing Emma soon, face to face, and I'd be making it clear what I thought of both of them. The betrayal was too much. I was furious, but I didn't want to lose control yet. I needed to keep my composure, at least until I knew exactly what I wanted to do next. Later that afternoon, I went back to the house. Emma was home, of course, pretending to be the innocent victim. She was acting like nothing had happened, trying to play the victim like I was the one overreacting. I sat her down, told her I had all the evidence. Her bitchy attitude kicked in full force. "You're crazy," she snapped. "You're just jealous because Jake is better in bed than you ever were. You're insecure and possessive, and honestly, you're just making a fool of yourself." I looked her right in the eyes and said, "You're the fool here, Emma. You think I don't see what's really going on. You've been lying to me, playing me for months. You smiled at me last night while you were planning your escape with Jake. Do you even understand how much you've hurt me? Do you even care?" She scoffed, crossing her arms. "You're overreacting as usual. I don't owe you an explanation. Jake and I were just having sex. That's it. It doesn't mean anything. You're just insecure and controlling. Why should I stay and pretend everything's perfect when you're so paranoid?" That's when I snapped. I told her I was done with the lies, done with her bullshit. I told her I'd been giving her the benefit of the doubt for way too long, but now I knew everything. She looked furious, like I'd just shattered her little world. She tried to throw more lies at me, but I was done listening. I knew I needed to make her see that I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. I told her I was leaving for a while to clear my head, not because I wanted to run away, but because I needed space to think about what I was going to do next. I told her I didn't want to see her again until I was ready to talk face to face, not with her bitchy attitude and fake tears. She looked shocked, like she didn't expect me to fight back so hard. But honestly, I'd had enough of her manipulations. She could lie all she wanted, but I wasn't going to let her keep screwing me over. Walking out that door, I felt a strange mix of relief and anger. I was finally taking control of the situation, even if it hurt like hell. I knew this wasn't going to be easy. The betrayal cut deep, and I was angry at myself for trusting her so blindly. But I also knew I had to be strong. Whatever came next, I'd face it head on. I had to, for my own sanity, and to finally start healing from this mess. A few days passed in a blur of anger, heartbreak, and confusion. I kept replaying everything in my head. Her fake smile, her lies, Jake's smug face, the hotel picture. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. How could the woman I loved, the woman I thought was my everything, do this? And my best friend, someone I trusted more than anyone, how could he betray me like this? It felt like my entire world had turned upside down overnight. I spent those days trying to decide what I wanted. Part of me wanted to burn everything down, confront them both, make sure they felt the pain they'd caused me. The other part just wanted to disappear, to run away from the whole mess. But deep down, I knew I had to face reality. I couldn't keep living in denial. I had to figure out my next move. One thing I knew for sure: I wasn't going to take her bullshit anymore. I'd been a fool in love, yes, but I was done being the fool. The betrayal had hit me hard, but it also made me realize something. She was a bitch, plain and simple. Her attitude, her lies, her manipulations, they all proved she never truly loved me. She just wanted what she could get, and I was just a convenient backup. That realization made me furious. I started planning my exit, how I'd get my things out of the house without her throwing a fit. I also reached out to a lawyer just to understand my rights, because I knew I'd need to protect myself financially and legally. I wanted to be prepared for whatever she threw my way. I wasn't about to let her walk all over me or try to spin this as some kind of misunderstanding. No way. I'd face her head on with everything I had. Meanwhile, she kept trying to contact me, acting like she was the victim. She'd call me bitchy, accusing me of ruining everything, saying she loved me and that I was overreacting. She spun her usual lies, told me I was insecure and controlling. I'd had enough. Every time she called or texted, I'd just ignore her. I knew she was trying to manipulate me, to make me feel guilty for catching her in her lies, but I wasn't falling for it anymore. One night she showed up at my place unannounced, crying and begging me to forgive her. She said she was sorry, that she loved me, and that she'd do whatever it took to make things right. The bitch was trying to play the victim, acting like she didn't mean to hurt me, like she was the one suffering. I just looked at her coldly and told her I didn't want to hear her lies anymore. I told her she had betrayed everything we had, and I couldn't trust her again. That I needed space, time to heal, time to figure out what I really wanted. That moment, I realized I was finally done with her manipulation. I didn't want to be the guy who's always waiting for her to change, to come around, to tell the truth. I'd had enough of her bitchy attitude, her lies, her sneaking around. I knew I deserved better than this. I deserved honesty, respect, and love. And if she couldn't give me that, then I was better off without her. So I told her calmly but firmly that I was ending things for good. She looked stunned, like she couldn't believe I was actually serious. But I was. I knew I couldn't keep living in this nightmare. I told her she could keep lying to herself if she wanted, but I wasn't going to be part of her sick game anymore. I was walking away, and I'd find a way to move on. That's when I finally felt a strange sense of relief, like a heavy weight had been lifted. I wasn't sure what the future held, but I knew I was done being the fool. I was ready to rebuild my life, even if it hurt like hell to start over. Because deep down, I knew I deserved someone who actually cared about me, who wouldn't betray me for a quick thrill. And I was finally starting to believe I could find that, even if it meant losing everything I thought I had. After I made the decision to walk away, things started to change. I packed my bags quietly, taking only what I needed, my clothes, some personal stuff, a few everyday essentials. I didn't want to cause a scene, didn't want to make her feel like she won something. Honestly, I just wanted to get out of that house, away from the lies and the betrayal. I knew I needed space, clarity. I needed to get my head straight. I moved into a small apartment nearby. It wasn't much, but it was mine. The first few days were the hardest. Every corner of that house seemed to remind me of her. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, the way she smiled while she was screwing my best friend. But being here alone gave me a chance to breathe, to process everything without her manipulation clouding my mind. I kept replaying everything in my head, how I found her out, how she lied and spun her bullshit, how I felt so stupid for trusting her. But somewhere deep inside, I also started to realize something I'd been too blind to see before. I deserved better than her. I deserved honesty, loyalty, respect. I've been a fool to think she ever truly loved me. That realization burned, but it was also freeing. In the following days, I reached out to some friends for support. I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts all the time. They told me to focus on myself, to remember that I was worth more than someone who lied and cheated behind my back. Some of them knew about what happened, others didn't, but they all reminded me I wasn't the one at fault here. I also started to see a therapist, just to help me sort through the mess. At first, I was hesitant, didn't want to admit I'd been such a damn fool, but talking to someone who wasn't involved helped a lot. I needed to understand how I let things get so bad, how I could trust someone so bitchy and manipulative. The therapist told me I'd been too trusting, that I needed to set boundaries and look out for myself more. Meanwhile, Emma kept trying to contact me. Every day, a new message, a new apology, a new lie about how she didn't mean to hurt me, or how she was sorry for everything. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw her for what she was, a manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with anything. I blocked her on everything, refused to give her the satisfaction of a response. I knew she was only trying to guilt-trip me into coming back, but I wasn't falling for that trap. One night, I had a long, honest talk with myself. I realized that I'd been giving her too much power for too long, that I'd allowed her to walk all over me because I loved her, because I wanted the best for us. But love isn't supposed to hurt this much. Love isn't supposed to be filled with lies, betrayal, and bitchy attitude. I deserve someone who genuinely cared, someone who wouldn't cheat, wouldn't lie, and definitely wouldn't smile while secretly planning to leave me for my own best friend. I made a vow to myself. I'd move on. I wouldn't let her define me or ruin my life. I'd rebuild what I lost, even if it took time. I'd learn from this mess and grow stronger. It wasn't easy and it still hurt, but I knew deep down I was better off without her toxic attitude and that bitchy smile. So here I am, still healing, still trying to figure out what's next. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust again, but I do know one thing: I'm done being the fool. I'm done letting someone betray me and walk all over my feelings. I'll find someone who actually deserves my love, someone honest and kind. For now, I'm just focusing on me, trying to pick up the pieces and move forward. Because if there's one thing I've learned from this nightmare, it's that I'm stronger than I ever thought I was. It's been a few weeks since I made the decision to finally cut her out of my life. Honestly, it's been a roller coaster. Some days I feel like I'm finally starting to breathe again, and other days I wake up with that same sick feeling in my stomach. But I've come to accept that this is part of the process. I can't change what happened, but I can change how I let it affect me moving forward. What's been hardest is realizing just how much I trusted her, how my entire sense of stability was built on her lies. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it sooner, how I was so blind to her bitchy attitude and manipulative ways. But then I remind myself that love can make you blind. It makes you ignore the red flags, dismiss the warning signs, and convince yourself everything's okay, even when it's not. That's something I won't do again. What I do know now is that I deserve honesty. I deserve someone who respects me enough not to cheat, not to lie, not to smile while secretly planning her escape with my best friend. I learned that I need to set boundaries, to trust my instincts, and most importantly, to love myself enough to walk away from toxic people. Because staying would have meant sacrificing my dignity, my sanity, and my self-respect. Looking back, I realize how much I've grown from this nightmare. I've started to rebuild my confidence and rediscover what makes me happy. I've gone back to doing things I love, working out, spending time with friends, focusing on my career. I've also learned to let go of the anger, the hurt, and the betrayal. Not because I've forgiven her, far from it, but because I refuse to let her poison my life any longer. I have no regrets, really. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, I still think about her sometimes, about what could have been, about the betrayal that shattered everything. But I also know that this experience has made me stronger. It's shown me I can survive the worst, that I can pick myself up even when everything's falling apart. And most importantly, it's taught me not to trust blindly, to pay attention to the bitchy attitude, and to never, ever ignore my gut again. Now I'm not looking for closure or some fairy tale ending. I just want to keep moving forward, one step at a time. I want to find someone who values honesty, who doesn't play games or lie behind my back. But for now, I'm just grateful I finally saw the truth, no matter how ugly it was. Because in the end, that's what set me free. The betrayal was bitter, but facing it head-on was what made me realize I deserve more. And that's exactly what I'm going to get.